Major Mohammed Ali Shah joins us on the broadcast. A very good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us. Well thought out, well chalked out plan. A lot of thought has gone into from the terrorist side, but the timing is something which is of concern. Your thoughts, sir?
See, Diksha, the Indian Army will soon procure, rather they'll lease out 4 heroin TP drones from Israel. Now, these drones have a length of 14 meters, which is actually the size of a fighter aircraft, or Rafale you can call it. Now, these drones are capable of being armed if needed. Sources also, we've also got to know, I got to know from my own sources that, these drones, 2 will come in shortly, and later others will follow soon. So when we actually procure drone and we actually hold drones in our custody, earlier if you remember, in the mid-80s when Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, the new trend was coming in that was a human bomb. And that was very lethal, very dangerous, because they could penetrate anywhere, they could breach security. Now with drones coming in, it's a very, very dangerous precedent. Just a few months earlier, Pakistan had dropped weapons and narcotics at the Punjab border in Punjab in India. Azerbaijan, they used drones to wipe out one full armored brigade. The drones had entered the trenches. They can penetrate anywhere. A drone was used to actually assassinate the Iranian chief of the army staff in Iraq. The US had done that. So drones, which yesterday it was just a small trailer of a film, which can be in future because it's only a start. And this is a very, very dangerous precedent. And we have the Army Air Defense units who look after the air warfare. Similarly, a unit from the Army Air Defense can be made and can be looked after only for anti-drone attacks. Now that, because this is going to be a very, very dangerous precedent, and it's definitely a wake-up call. They check the op preparedness, they of our alertness, how alert we are to answer back to a drone. And let me tell you, with a normal gun, it is very difficult to actually shoot down a drone because of the size and the speed it moves on. So definitely an anti-drone unit has to be set up, like in Israel. What did Israelis do? They have just come up with a technology where with a laser, you can shoot down a drone, the Z technology. So we should learn from that. Now, thankfully, we are leasing out something from Israel. So hopefully, this should be a very, very good advancement for the technology of the Indian Army. And also one more thing, nowadays in the Army, in our training, we do not need a person who only does 100 push-ups only. We actually, because as we rightly said, the next war would be fought on trigger, on the keypad. When you're sitting from your command office, and from there you can actually fight the war. And that is precisely what China is also trying to do. So now we need people who are actually technically savvy, who are very friendly with technology, who can handle a laptop and technology very, very well, Diksha.
Right, sir. Also talking about, like you mentioned, that we need to be well equipped in terms of defense technology and also in terms of people who are behind these operations, right? So do you think that some sort of deterrence also needs to be created? Pressure on China, Pakistan from the world, even though it is important, but it is something which is for a long haul, which we are aiming in a long haul. But when we talk about immediate deterrences, what should be done?
So immediate, what the thing is, because yesterday what we saw in Jammu was actually breach of security. It is actually, whether it is, I would say it was a shortcoming on our part. We should have been more alert rather for that, How can the drones actually enter? Because we were not prepared. We were taken by surprise. But luckily, God was on our side. We didn't have much casualty. It was not fatal. We had 2 people, one warrant officer and one airman who suffered minor injuries. Again, what can be done is the training of defending ourselves from drones, and they say offensive is the best defense. So certainly we are getting equipped with drones, and that is the only way out. There's no other way. If with all due respect to our infantry, when we go, I was from the artillery, we used to march on foot. And if you are facing the enemy face to face, a better way would be, like in the artillery, you do not face the enemy face to face. You have an OP officer from behind firing the gun, like I had the Indian field gun. We could observe and we could fire without seeing the enemy or coming face to face with the enemy. Now, with the drones coming in, we should actually focus on modernizing, equipping ourselves And this unit is definitely, because it should not only safeguard our army establishments, but also our civil establishments, the important zone, any civil zone that is important to us, that should be, and also these drones should be used for actually an intelligence network. They can penetrate anywhere, and henceforth they can gather intelligence. Instead of sending human spies, because it's very important to gather intelligence, knowing the enemy better than your own self. So now when we actually use drones, that is the answer, Diksha.
Major Mohammed Ali Shah, I beg your pardon. Now, sir, when we are discussing about how crucial drone technology is and how India actually needs to ramp up its, in the drone technology and invest in drone technology, we also need to understand that why is Pakistan trying to escalate the situation? Is this some sort of message, when they're trying to send it right after Jammu Kashmir meeting, all party meeting? Is Pakistan Army actually trying to stay relevant? Are they actually trying to send message that if India goes ahead and carry an all party meeting with Jammu, we are not going to sit, just idle?
That is precisely what they are attempting, or rather I would say they're struggling to do, but because their message was well taken by us, we have a better foresight than them, so we foresaw that, definitely. But now, what Pakistan is, they will never learn their lessons, and they are incorrigible. They have always provoked us in the past, where we have only promoted peace and nothing more. In fact, a few days back, just a couple of days back, almost about 4 days back, there was this news about a plot which was being formed to assassinate the Chief of the Army Staff, General Bajwa. And the plan was foiled by 111 Brigade of Pakistan, who investigated, and 14 officers were held. And 4 officers got badly, brutally tortured, apparently. Now, imagine a country where their military is torturing their own officers. The fact didn't investigate that they were Baluch officers or they were Sindh officers or whatever. Anyhow, but when an Indian soldier goes across and he has a crash landing, I'm talking about Wing Commander Abhinandan, it can happen there. When Indian fighter pilot goes there, has a cup of tea, comes back in a suit from there and walks out like a hero. Whereas their own military is fighting with the police. They are planning military coups. There have been n number of attempts on General Pervez Musharraf also, when he was the chief over there. Because in Pakistan, it is not Imran Khan who rules the roost, it is the military. So when General Pervez Musharraf was the chief over there, there were several assassination plots on him as well. And today he is now, you can call it exile in a way. Though it's not exile, it's in Dubai. He's cooling off in Dubai right now. But there is danger to his life. So Pakistanis are only, when I say Pakistani, I will not call the general awam, the general public over there, because even they are quite fed up with the military over there actually as such. I would say the people calling the shots in Pakistan, like for example Imran Khan, he came into power with the support of, has links with the Al-Qaeda. So basically the terrorists over there had funded the government to come into power. And also one more thing, a nation which has something as a concept of 2 Talibans. Good Taliban and bad Taliban. Good Taliban is the one which would work in the interest of against India, and bad, that's good Taliban for them. And bad Taliban for them is a Taliban which would work against the interest of their military.
Right, sir.
So imagine Pakistan is trying to send out. So Mehbooba Mufti, in fact, when we had this all leaders meeting with Mr. Narendra Modi had chaired this meeting, Mehbooba Mufti had in fact suggested that we should actually even take Pakistan's view into consideration. Why? What for? It's our own internal matter. What role does Pakistan have got to play? Now, when we talk about the legislature of Jammu and Kashmir or Ladakh region, there are 24 seats which are lying vacant from the POK side. Now, I don't know, when we talk about delimitation, no, I don't know when those seats are going to be fulfilled, because that needs to be filled actually, because when you talk about a state as a whole, all the parties, like earlier from 107 to 114 seats was proposed right now.
Sir.
So definitely Pakistan is trying to send out a message, but we've got the message. But let me tell you, they were a failure, they are a failure, and they will remain a failure in sending out the message, because their message does not go home loud and clear. Rather, we will hit them when they least expect.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast.